بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد. الله وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه الغر الميامين. الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية سيدي ومولاي علي بن أبي طالب. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. أما بعد، إن كان رفضا حب آل محمد فليشهد الثقلان أني رافضي. The first of our loud salawat in honor of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. A second even louder salawat in honor of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. A third with your loudest voices in honor of the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman. Allahumma salli ala Respected scholars, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. One of the greatest honors is to be known as a Rafidi. But what exactly does the term Rafidi mean? Indeed, you find that there is a need for analysis of this term. For many times, it is a term used synonymously with the word Shia. Normally, when someone mentions the Shia, they talk of the Rafidha, or they talk of the Rawafid. Why would we be known as the Rafidha? Should we be known as the Rafidha? Should we be proud to be known as Rafidis? We know in our 1400-year history, we've been at the receiving end of many names. Some names have been positive, some have been negative. The first of the names that we were on the receiving end of, in terms of the positive group, was to be known as Shia. Shia, as you know, means the party of, or the followers of, or the group of. Today, for example, if a lecturer says that is the Shi'i opinion, that is a positive statement to make, especially if they are not a Shia. But when they acknowledge our opinion, they acknowledge that we are one of the sects of the history of Islam. Another positive name that we're given by non-Shia is Ja'fariyah, that we are the followers or a group who ascribe to following Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Therefore, someone who is a Hanafi, or someone who is a Maliki, or someone who is a Hanbali, or a Shafi'i, may turn around and say that in our country there is also the Ja'fari, or the Ja'fariyya madhab. Another positive is Ithna Ashari, meaning that we are the 12ers. Someone might turn around and say that amongst the Shia, there are a number of subgroups. Amongst them, one of them is the Ithna Ashariya, that we follow 12 Imams after Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. Those are the positive names. Then there are the names that we've been given by non-Shia as insults to us. That they want to insult us, they will call us with such a name. It's interesting that normally when we address these lectures, someone will say that why is it that the Shia hate on others? First, let's look at how the Shia have been on the receiving end of hate. When you look at some of the names that we've been given, which are names of hate towards us, but might be names of honor in some cases, you'll find that arguably the most insulting name given to the Shia is kuffar. That's us out of the fold of Islam. A kafir, disbeliever, Shia in different times, from the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi after he died, until today, have at one stage or another been known as kuffar, disbelievers. Say, even if I say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, even. So hold on, how can I be a disbeliever if I utter the Shahadatain? Surely I'm still a Muslim, even if you reject everything else. No, they will bring up their children in some countries saying that the Shia, no, they're not a madhab, they're not even Muslim. They are what? They are kuffar. Another name we've been given as an insulting name is what? Is Safawids. Yes, a Safawiyya. Why? Because you know, one of the most famous Shia empires in history was the Safawid Empire. Iran was a country that was majority Sunni until 500 years ago. Until 500 years ago, 1501, you had the Safawid Empire. The Safawid Empire lasted for over 200 years. That was the turning point when Iran became a Shia majority country. Before that, Iran was known as one of the most important places in the Sunni world. When you hear these names, Bukhari and Muslim, and you hear Ibn Majah and Tirmidhi and Ghazali and Fakhr al-Razi, these are all Iranian scholars of Sunni Islam. So the moment we were associated with the Safawids, when a person would see the Shia say, you Safawid, that's another insulting name, even though it may not be for us. Another insulting name may be what? Mushrik. Yes, you must have heard that a few times in your time. That you people are mushriks. You make Ali God. You make the Imams God. Therefore you people are mushriks. Another name is Majus, fire worshippers. This may be a name you come across in certain insulting statements against the Shia. That you have a Zoroastrian past. I always say, make up your mind. Am I mushrik or Zoroastrian? Am I mushrik or am I Iranian? I still am confused, but no problem. But arguably, the name that non-Shia insult us the most with is the name Rafidha. Rafidha or Rafd means to reject or to refuse. Why? Because they say that we are those who rejected the first three khulafa. And they are absolutely right. There is no doubt about that whatsoever. I cannot sit here in the year 2024 and sit down and say that I don't. Of course I do. I reject Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman's legitimacy as caliphs. But I have my reasoning and my reading for why I reject. Rafd is to refuse or to reject. And because of that, they will not call us Shia, but call us Rawafid or synonymously. The question then arose that this title Rafidi, is it a title sanctioned by the Imams of Ahlulbayt alayhim salam or no? As in, did the Imams ever say that a Shi'i should be proud to be called a Rafidi? Was there ever a situation where an Imam of Ahlulbayt was told by his companions, because remember, when I look on YouTube today and I see Sheikh Fulan says they are Rawafid, Sheikh Fulan is not the first one. In the time of the Imams, there must have also been what? There must have also been Sheikhs in the time of the Imams who what? In the time of the Imams, these Sheikhs as well, they must have also had companions of the Imams who asked the Imams that someone's calling me a Rafidi, a rejecter. He knows that I reject the authority of Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman. Should I be happy with this title or should I not be happy? Is that a title I should have or I should not have? Someone might say, why address this? Because until today, wherever you go in lectures around the world, there are still speakers who say the filthy Rawafid. Many of our youths are baffled sometimes when they hear filthy Rawafid about the Shia. Why is the guy calling me a Rafidi? Why doesn't he just call me a Shi'i? The reason we analyze this is so that we understand what is the history of this term Rafidi. Why did the Shia refuse or reject the authority of the three caliphs? Was it that the Shia just woke up one fine day and randomly said, I'm going to pick 3 people out of 100,000 who I'm going to reject? Or was there a basis to my belief? Because at the end of the day, in the year 2024, the Muslim world can develop in 2 ways. Either we hide our beliefs from each other, or we openly talk about our readings of our history, but without being rude to one another. What do I mean? Either a person can sit here on the pulpit and hide what they believe. There are speakers in parts of the Indo-Pak subcontinent. You will see that maybe in their context they don't mention the name of the caliphs on the pulpit. But what he does is that he may antagonize the crowd by mocking the 3 caliphs. Mocking is not what's needed. What's rather needed is a historical academic analysis. That this is the first Khalifa in Islamic history, which no one can deny, but that this is our position in relation to that Khalifa. And this is why we have a refusal of that Khalifa. Therefore, for us, when we examine the term Rafidi, that term, without a doubt, is an honorific title. If you end your life known as a Rafidi, that is one of the highest levels in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But in relation to the non-Shi'i, he's saying it to you to insult you. He doesn't realize that the more you call me Rafidi, the closer I am to the path of Al-Muhammad. Therefore, tonight, let us examine the history of the term Rafidi Shi'i. And why in the following stages. Number 1, how important is it as a human being to have one statement or stand of rejection in a certain moment of your life? Number 2, who were the first Rafidis? Were they in the time of Ahlulbayt? Or were their names written in the Torah years before Ahlulbayt alayhim salam were even here? Number 3, when a person comes to Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam and says, they call me a Rafidi, how did Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam reply to that person? Number 4, is it true that Zaid, brother of Imam Zayn al-Abidin, denounced the Rafida? And how did they try and use him to bring this definition? Number 5, which companion of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam began to cry and began to shake when someone called him a Rafidi? And what did Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam say about that companion and what he did in that particular stand? Number 7, why is it that I have rafd of the first 3 caliphs? Why don't I just agree with the majority of Muslims and accept and follow them as legitimate leaders? Further than that, are all Shia classified as Rawafid? Or are there some who prefer to say, I prefer not to talk about this. I want peace in the ummah of my life. Let's examine this and dissect the topic in complete depth. Rafd, Rawafid, means what? To reject or to refuse. Refuse what? Refuse that which brings displeasure to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At one stage or another, by the way, subconsciously, or even without us knowing, we have had a moment of being a Rafidi. In which sense? In the sense that when I see someone oppressing someone, when I see someone attacking the religion of God, when I see somebody removing the tenets of the religion of Islam, at that moment, either I say yes or I say no. If I say yes, then I can either say yes under duress, then that's the world of taqiyya, or if I say yes to a thing which is oppressive, then I will be raised with that oppressor. True? At the end of the day, for me as a human being, when I see a moment of dhulm in this world, I have to try my hardest to say no. Someone will say to me that, no, accept it. The moment I say no, I reject it. And all of us have done this in this hall at one moment or another. Someone places alcohol on my table, says to me, drink. At that moment, when I refuse, when I urfud, when I do rafd, I have at that moment said, that brings the displeasure of Allah, I reject this. When someone gives me something haram to smoke, when someone tells me to listen to that which is haram, when someone tells me to obey those who are doing haram, when I say no, what am I doing? I am a Rafidi in the sense of I'm doing rejection of that which brings the displeasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore, when you look at the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when Ibrahim alayhi salam spoke out against Numrud, what was he doing? He was rejecting the one who brings displeasure to the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, Nabi Ibrahim, if he just sat there and he saw Nimrud allowing the people to do what they do, oppressing the people, I would say, Nabi Ibrahim, you couldn't reject that? He'll say to me, no, I did. I rejected it publicly and privately. Some prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their rejection of the oppressor or their rejection of the oppressors, because sometimes prophets of Allah face one oppressor, some face two, some face three. Prophets of Allah, like for example, Nabi Nuh alayhi salam is not the same as Nabi Musa alayhi salam. Nabi Nuh may face an entity of oppressors. Nabi Musa faced three main oppressors: the Fir'aun, Qarun, and Haman. Nabi Musa alayhi salam, in his time, he led the path of rejection of the three oppressors of his time. Nabi Musa made it clear that I will never accept the authority of those three: Qarun, Haman, and Fir'aun. Nabi Musa's time was actually the first time that you heard the name Rafidha mentioned in relation to who? In relation to the followers of a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How do we know this? Abu Basir came to Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam. When Abu Basir, the companion of the Imam, came to him, he said to him, Imam, they oppress us because we are what? Because we are called Rafidha. They are the ones who confiscate our property. They torture us because we, your Shia, reject their caliphs, reject their authority. Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam turned round to Abu Basir. What did he say? He said, Abu Basir, this title Rafidha, who were the first people to do that thing where they reject the authority of the leader of their time? They were from the time of Nabi Musa alayhi salam. He said, what do you mean? He said 70 people from the people of Fir'aun rejected the authority of Fir'aun and joined Nabi Musa alayhi salam. Those 70 were the first people to be given the title Rawafid. Imagine that title. Imam al-Baqir is saying that, do you know what an honor that title is? Those 70 could have easily went with the status quo of everybody else. He said those 70 were so firm in their faith that they rejected Fir'aun, they done rafd of Fir'aun, and they joined Musa alayhi salam. And they were determined with Musa alayhi salam more than Bani Israel. Subhanallah. That person, he rejects the authority of his time, joins Nabi Musa. He was more firm alongside Nabi Musa than even the Bani Israel. And then what did he say? And then after that he said, and they had more love for Harun than even those with Musa alayhi salam. Notice what he says. Imam al-Baqir highlights something here by mentioning Musa and Harun. In which sense? Imam al-Baqir knows the hadith. Ali, anta minni bimanzilati Musa min Harun. Ali, you are to me like Aaron was to Moses, except that there is no prophet after me. Imam al-Baqir says, those people were the first Rawafid. They were the first rejectors, O Abu Basir. Because Abu Basir is coming to Imam al-Baqir, he's saying to him, Mawla, because we are with this title, Rafidha, this is causing our houses to be confiscated. Can't we have a more peaceful life instead of us rejecting so and so and so and so? Imam al-Baqir says, you are on the path of those who rejected the Fir'aun of their time and joined Nabi Musa alayhi salam. And then he said they had a firm determination alongside Nabi Musa, but they loved Nabi Harun as well. Meaning what? Meaning it is one thing to do tabarra, but alongside it must be tawalla. In which sense? You do dissociation from the oppressor of your time, and you hold on to the prophet of the time and the one alongside him. Then what did Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam say? Imam al-Baqir turned around and he said, and know that their names Allah ordered, that their names are written in the Torah for the rejection of what they rejected. Imagine. That means that the names of the Rawafid, those who rejected the authority and the oppressors of their time publicly, it wasn't like they just sat back quietly and said that, you know what, I don't like Fir'aun. Publicly, they dissociated from Fir'aun, joined Nabi Musa alayhi salam. It was at that moment Allah, Imam al-Baqir says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, their names are in the Torah. Make sure you write them within the Torah. Therefore, the term Rafidi did not start with the Ahlulbayt alayhim salam. The term Rafidi started in the time of who? Started in the time of Nabi Musa alayhi salam. Nabi Musa, amongst his companions, there were people who followed him, but there were those who joined them, who rejected the authority of the oppressors of their time. And that's why when someone came to Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, and he said, Imam, people call us Rafidha. Do you know what Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam replied to him? I am a Rafidi too. I am a Rafidi too. I am a Rafidi too. Imagine. I look at Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, I'm saying, Imam, people are calling us Rafidha. They are not even calling us Shia. They're not even calling us Muslims. They call us Rafidha. Imam said, I am a Rafidi. I am a Rafidi. I am a Rafidi as well. When Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam says that I am a Rafidi, the question arises, Rafidi of what? Why is Imam saying we are Rawafid? Because we the Shia reject the authority of who? Reject the authority of Abu Bakr, Umar and Uthman. In the past, when we've lived in our countries, of course it was very hard to openly define this. Why? Because you're scared that if I come out publicly and say that I'm a Rafidi or I reject the first three caliphs, I'm plainly going to get killed. You know, Islam and Muslims who claim that we're a religion of peace, they obviously haven't met certain Salafi scholars in the past. Messrs. Bahbahari, Ibn Taymiyyah, Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab, these people, they don't leave you in reality. If you reject who they want, they will either talk about you in a filthy way, or they will what? They will kill you. In the year 2024, when somebody comes to me and says that, are you a Shia? Yes, I'm a Shia. Are you a Rafidi? Proudly, I'm a Rafidi. Proudly in which sense? In the sense that in my examination of Islamic history, I reject what happened with the three caliphs. I reject their authority. He says to me, what do you mean? I say, firstly, in terms of the first caliph, I reject what happened at Saqifa completely. Saqifa for me is an illegitimate act. An act where the right of Amir al-Mu'mineen was usurped from him. In Sunni books, as you saw in Shahr Ramadan in my lectures, it was written that even Umar admitted what happened at Saqifa was a slip and Allah protected us. Yes? Umar found it normal for him to say that it was just a slip. For me, that's not a slip. Sometimes in life, one mistake can have a domino effect forever. In life, one error can have a domino effect forever. At Saqifa, you yourself, nobody acknowledged you as someone chosen by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You got to Saqifa, the Ansar were there, and you went and you put your name forward, and then you had Umar alongside you, and you had others alongside you, until all of a sudden, that is the Muslim election method. I reject that authority. I reject, I'm a Rafidi of the first Khalifa. I do rafd of his authority. I also do rafd of his authority. Why? Because of the way he angered Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. Am I allowed to have this reading of history or no? Because you cannot monopolize the reading of Islamic history. Who are you to monopolize the reading of history? What? There's only one reading of Islamic history? I have my reading. In my reading, what's ironic is I can use your books for my reading sometimes. Fatima al-Zahra died angry with Abu Bakr, clearly about what happened at Fadak. It's in your books. If someone comes and says, why are you saying this? Tell Bukhari why he said it, not me. Why are you telling me why I'm saying it? Bukhari says that Fatima al-Zahra died angry with Abu Bakr. For me, the anger of Fatima, whoever rejects Fatima, for me, rejects Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. That's my reading. By the way, this reading, I cannot force it on you. If you believe that those three khulafa are rightly guided, that's up to you. But you cannot force me. If I believe in the path of Ahlulbayt, you cannot come and force me that I have to follow your way. Therefore, the first reason I reject the Khalifa is because I believe that he usurped the authority that belonged to Imam Ali alayhi salam. The second reason I reject him is because I believe that he angered Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. And by the way, that is also the reason that I reject the second Khalifa. Because the second Khalifa clearly was involved in a public spat, if you want to put it in their terminology, with Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. And to me, Fatima is a part of me. Whoever angers her, angers me. And whoever angers me, angers Allah. Aren't these the words of our Holy Prophet? Therefore, when I reject the second Khalifa and I'm a Rafidi, I'm saying I'm rejecting someone who angered Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. If you want to accept someone who angered Fatima al-Zahra and say, radiyallah anh, may Allah be pleased with him, that's up to you. I cannot force my opinion, but you cannot kill me for my opinion. If you kill me for my opinion, that shows in a way an insecurity on your part. Because if your argument is stronger than mine, then why do I live rent-free in your head? The reality is, you do yours, I'll do mine. I reject the third Khalifa. Why? Because I found with the third Khalifa, Bani Umayyah came back to rule the Muslim world. Uthman was Umayyad. And Uthman made sure that Bani Umayyah's finest, who were ousted by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, all of them now had positions again. Uthman I also reject because anyone who sits in the seat of Imam Ali I reject. Automatically. Because for me, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam was the Imam chosen when? Chosen on the day of Ghadir. Therefore, automatically, when I am a Rafidi and someone comes and says that you are a Rafidi, I'm honored that you call me a Rafidi. Thank you. And then they say, what do you mean thank you? I'm insulting you. La wallah, la wallah. You have actually understood my history. You've actually understood how I've concluded. I want you to call me a Rafidi for the rest of my life. Maybe I don't even deserve the title of being called a Rafidi. Someone says, what do you mean? You think that title of being called a Rafidi is a joke? It's simple. Anyone could be called. People lost their necks because of Rafd. People were shot and killed because of their Rafd. Shia, virtually in the last 1400 years, there wasn't a century where Shia were not killed because of what? The one thing. What is it? No. That word, no. That word is one of the biggest words you can say in your life. When everyone else is saying yes and you say, no, I don't accept that person. I don't go with that way. Someone says, how is it an honor? I'll tell you how it's an honor. Ammar al-Duhani, companion of our sixth Imam, was in the court of Ibn Abi Layla, the judge of Kufa. While he was in the court, he's come to give a testimony. When he's come to give a testimony, Ibn Abi Layla, huge judge, he says to him, Ammar, we cannot accept your testimony. Why? He said, because you are a Rafidi. And we do not take the testimony of a Rafidi. The hadith says that at that moment, Ammar al-Duhani began to cry and shake. Ibn Abi Layla turned around. He said, Ammar, what's wrong with you? You are a knowledgeable person. if this title is giving you difficulty, leave the sect and we will look after you. He said, La wallah, I don't cry because of that. I cry because you've given me a title I don't deserve to have. Allahu Akbar. I cry. Imagine the man's crying. He says, I cry because you've given me a title I don't deserve. Ammar Nakshawani is shaking when he's called him a Rafidi. This man's telling him, listen, calm down. If it's a title you don't like, join us. Leave that path. He said, no, no, no. I cry because you've called me a name I don't deserve. He said, my master, Ja'far al-Sadiq, salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi. He said, my master, Ja'far al-Sadiq, salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi, told us that the Rafidis were who? Were the magicians who rejected the path of Fir'aun to join the path of Moses alayhi salam. What were those magicians? You imagine you're a magician for the royal court. When you bring your stick, when you put your stick forward, because what was Moses' miracle? Nabi Musa's miracle was magic. And Nabi Isa's miracle was medicine. And the Holy Prophet amongst his miracles was the Quran. Although I believe his miracle was Imam Ali, but we'll come to that in another occasion. Nabi Musa, what was his miracle? The miracle of Nabi Musa was what? The magicians in the court of Fir'aun, these guys used to have sticks that used to look like snakes. Yes? Magicians, they can make that which seemingly you could not believe, it looks real. All of you have seen Messrs. Blaine and Dynamo and God knows who. Sometimes you're looking at what they do, you're baffled with what's going on. These magicians, they used to put their stick down, it looked like a snake. Nabi Musa alayhi salam's stick became an actual snake. Nabi Musa's stick that became a snake gobbled up the opposition. When it gobbled up the opposition, those magicians had a problem now in their life. What is it? The easy life is to just stay quiet and not say no to the leader of that time. It's an easy life. Why? I can pray at home. I can believe in Moses, but quietly. I don't need to say I'm Shia. I don't need to come out publicly. It's a chill life. It brings you no worries. You know what Ammar Nakshawani said? He said, I'm not crying because you've rejected my testimony. I'm crying because you called me Rafidi. I don't deserve that title. You know who that title is really about? Those magicians in the time of Pharaoh. When they saw Moses' stick become a snake, at that moment those magicians, they turned around and they said no to Pharaoh, knowing that they were gonna receive torture and persecution for saying no. But they still said no because they feared Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. True? Why did they say no? Why do you think when Salman at Saqifa, when Abu Dhar at Saqifa, when Miqdad at Saqifa, when all of these men said no, do you know what happened with these men? They knew that that would bring difficulty to their lives. Because when a man has that principle to say no, knowing everybody else is not with that status quo, that's a different level altogether. What did Pharaoh do to them the moment they said no? Pharaoh said, you rejectors. Subhanallah, Imam al-Sadiq. He says that Pharaoh looked at them and he said, Ya Rawafid, O rejectors, how dare you reject my authority? I will kill you if you do not accept me. They said, kill us. We die on the path of Musa and Harun. And some of us say, kill us. We die on the path of Muhammad and Ali. Isn't that true? Because the easy way for them at that time was what? I'm not going to reject. I'll just stay quiet. Those magicians, you've all read the Quran. I don't need to repeat the verses. You know them well. Didn't he cut them into pieces? Didn't he crucify them? Limb, opposite sides. The ayahs and the Quran are clear. But those people, what did they do? They stood up. They said, no. Islamic history, it looks quite smooth. Rasulullah, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali. Wait. What's going on here? Because when Ali gets in, then they start fighting him. something's wrong, something's wrong. Then Muhammad's grandson dies 50 years later. Something's terribly wrong. Actually, all Muhammad's grandsons are being executed. Something's a mess here. And that's how people come towards Ahlulbayt alayhi salam. Because when a person comes towards Ahlulbayt alayhi salam, they don't come because I just woke up one day and I picked people I want to reject. It was through reading, through analysis, through looking at what's going on and seeing the contradictions from when Rasulullah tells you Hussein is my skin and flesh to 50 years later Hussein's body on the plains of Karbala. Someone wakes up and says, what's going on here? There's no way I will accept an authority that leads to Sayyid al-Shuhada on the plains of Karbala, lying there on the ground. So then Ammar al-Duhani looks at Ibn Abi Layla. He said, Wallah, I feel sorry for you. You thought you were giving me the worst of titles. Allah, you gave me the best of titles. You called me a Rafidi, a rejecter, and I am proud of my rejection. Then he said to him, Ibn Abi Layla, what will you answer Allah about what you people are doing? What will you answer Allah about your beliefs? The news reached Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. When the news reached Imam al-Sadiq, someone said to Imam al-Sadiq, he said to him, Ammar al-Duhani, this happened to him today. He said, what happened? He said, Ammar al-Duhani was called in to give a testimony in court. And the judge looked at him and he said to him, you're a Rafidi, we can't accept you. And he shook and he began to cry. And then the judge looked at him and said, why are you crying? He said, what an honor, but I don't deserve this honor. Those who lost their limbs and their lives, those are the real ones who deserve it. Do you know what Imam al-Sadiq said? Imam al-Sadiq has a number of options. One option is, why did Ammar al-Duhani open his mouth on these things? These are sensitive issues. We should not discuss these sensitive sectarian issues. That's one thing. Imam al-Sadiq could have also said, tell my Shia to remain quiet on these things. No, Imam al-Sadiq said, if Ammar al-Duhani's sins were greater than the size of the heavens and the earth, Allah would have forgiven him for this one statement. If Ammar al-Duhani's sins were greater than the heavens and the earth, what is the size of the heavens and the earth? How big is the heavens and the earth? But because of this one stand, where he acknowledged the importance of being a Rafidi and how proud you should be to be a Rafidi, and what an honor it is to be a Rafidi, Allah would have forgiven all his sins were they greater than the size of the heavens and earth, just because of this one statement. One statement. Sometimes it's one kalima, and that's enough. Of course, people knew that the Shia, their strength was the fact that they rejected, that they were free minds. As a Shi'i, I'm free. I don't need to follow your narrative. I'll do my reading. I'll come to my conclusion. You know what they started saying? This Rafidha are a group that were given that name by Zaid, brother of Imam Zain al-Abidin. So what do you mean Zaid? I've just proved to you. In the time of Moses, they were called Rafidha because they rejected the three oppressors of their time, Pharaoh and Haman and Qarun. They said, no, Zaid, the brother of Imam Zain al-Abidin, Zaid, the son of Imam Zain al-Abidin, brother of Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, he is the one who coined this term. So what do you mean he coined this term? Said that Zaid one day met a group who had come to visit him, and he asked them that, do you love Imam Ali? And they said yes. And do you people, what type of people are you? They said, we dissociate from Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman. He said, you people are Rafidha, get out of here. Where is this from Zayd? Where? Forget the weakness of the hadiths, forget everything else. What really happened with Zayd? A group came. Zayd was sitting with the Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam. When this group came, they said, we, listen to the words, we are those who are loyal to Imam Ali alayhi salam, but we will not dissociate from the caliphs. That's a group that you might even find in the Shia. There are some Shia say, look, I love Imam Ali to death, but I prefer not to talk about those who oppress. I don't want to get involved. Zayd looked at them and he said, may Allah cut off your relations the way you've cut off our affairs. Why? Because Zayd was making it clear that you've cut off our affair with your statement. That you, if you're a Rafidi Shi'i, if you're a true Shi'i, you are someone who's loyal to Imam Ali, but dissociates from those against Imam Ali. I cannot be Shia and sleep in every bed that's available. Yes? When I'm Shia, I am loyal to Mawla and I dissociate. I do tabarra of the opposition. Of course, you know the Umayyads. The Umayyads, because Zayd had rebelled against them, they wanted to spread this rumor. So that if Zayd is said to be someone who attacks the Rawafid, those loyal Shia will not help him. And if Zayd is the one who says you must dissociate, then the general populace will not support him. So the Umayyads concocted this against Zayd, that Zayd was against the Rafidha. He said the Rafidha are not truly followers of Ahlulbayt. No, not at all. Rafidha was a term used from the prophets of Allah, that when their followers would reject the caliphs of their time, the prophets would say, what an honor, you Rawafid. You had a stand of principle against the caliphs of the time. I ask you all a question. If I'm a Shi'i, say, I have love for Ahlulbayt, alayhim salam. Why do you call me a kafir? For what reason? You call me a disbeliever. For what reason? I have a love for Ahlulbayt. I love Fatima al-Zahra, alayhi salam. I love Amir al-Mu'mineen. How did I come to a level where you call me a kafir? On what basis? Even some Sunni ulama were described as Rafidha. Imagine, I want you to all focus on this delicate point. Someone said, Ammar, I thought only Shia Rafidha. No, there were Sunni ulama. The moment they showed love for Ali, you must be a Rafidi. Allah. There are Sunni ulama who were tortured for their love of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Why? Because the more they showed love for Imam Ali, the more they spoke about Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam, automatically they were called what? Rafidha. Amongst them who? Amongst them Imam al-Nasa'i, author of the famous Sunan al-Nasa'i. You know, you have Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi, Abu Dawood, Ibn Majah, and al-Nasa'i. Tortured for what? Narrate the merits of Ali. Narrate the merits of Muawiyah. He said, Muawiyah, I have no hadith to narrate about his merits. Nothing. All I have is Rasulullah done a dua. May Allah never satiate his stomach. He said, how about Ali? He said, Ali, from now till Qiyamah, even if you write all his merits will not be enough. Tortured. Tortured. Another one, Tabari. You've read the Tariq of Tabari. You have Shia inclination. Another one is who? Another one you find is who? Another one you find alongside those was the famous Imam, who is known as who? Imam al-Shafi'i. Yes? Imam al-Shafi'i, all of you know, Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i and Hanbali. Imam al-Shafi'i, would you believe was called a Rafidi? Someone says, no, Imam al-Shafi'i is Sunni through and through. He is an Imam of the Sunni school. No, he was called a Rafidi. And he replied to those who called him a Rafidi. Sometimes you think us Shia are the only ones who called Rafidi. No. If a Sunni, a person who's just and who loves Ahlul Bayt, if a Sunni loves Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, that is completely up to them. That's up to them. That's their reading of history. I respect their reading. I don't have to agree with it, but I respect it. They came to a conclusion. They have the free will to come to that conclusion. Imam al-Shafi'i, he loves Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman. But he adored Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. He adored Fatima al-Zahra. He loved sitting in their majalis where their names were praised. You must be a Rafidi undercover. So, Baba, I'm not a Rafidi. What's wrong with you? I support, but I also love Ahlul Bayt. Rafidi. Until he came out with lines where he would reply to those who would call him a Rafidi. Amongst his lines is the one I quoted at the beginning of the lecture. What is that line? Listen to that line. إن كان رفضا حب آل محمد فليشهد الثقلان أني رافضي. If it is counted as rejection to be a lover of Al Muhammad, then let the humans and the jinn testify that I'm a Rafidi. Imagine, Imam al-Shafi'i is not a small person in the world. So the Muslim world, you might have over 200 million people who call themselves Shafi'i Muslims. Imam al-Shafi'i heard people calling him a Rafidi. That you're a Rafidi. Rafidi. Why am I a Rafidi? I don't reject Abu Bakr, Umar and Uthman. Yes, but you seem to praise Ali ibn Abi Talib too much. You seem to bring the merits of Hassan and Hussein. So my crime is that when I praise the five, I'm a kafir? A Rafidi? إن كان رفضا حب آل محمد فليشهد الثقلان. Thaqalan means what? Ins and jinn. Yes? If it is rejection that I love Al Muhammad, I'm a Sunni Imam. But if it's a rejection that I love Al Muhammad, then let the humans and the jinn testify that I'm a Rafidi. Call me a Rafidi. I'm proud to be called a Rafidi. Because it's one thing you saying the Shia reject Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman. No problem. But to make us Sunni stop loving Ahlulbayt is ridiculous. You got the point? He said, okay, the Shia reject them, no problem. But I as a Sunni, when I love Ahlulbayt, now you're calling me a problem? How am I a problem? And that's why he would say, and he has many lines of poetry, wallah, that we can quote, and he would mention that he would say, إِذَا فِي مَجْلِسٍ نَذْكُرْ عَلِيًّا. If we were in a majlis and we remember عَلِيًّا وَسِبْطَيْهِ وَفَاطِمَةَ الزَّكِيَّةِ, and we remembered his grandsons and Fatima, the pure one. يقال تجاوزوا يا قوم هذا فهذا حديث الرافضية فهذا من حديث الرافضية. They would say that, oh people, this is from the hadith of the Rafidha, that he's remembering Ali and Fatima. برئت إلى المهيمن من أناس يرون الرفض حب الفاطمية. Then I dissociate from those people who say that Rafd is to love Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. Imagine. That's a huge line of poetry. Understand the lines that the man's saying. The man's saying, you were calling the Shia Rawafid. I got you to call me a Sunni Rafidi as well. Simply because I love Hassan and Hussein. And I love Fatima. And I love Ali. That's going too far. That's going too far. إِذَا فِي مَجْلِسٍ, if we are in a majlis, نذكر عليا وصبطيه وفاطمة الزكية يقال تجاوزوا يا قوم هذا فهذا من حديث الرافضية. برئت إلى المهيمن من أناس يرون الرفض حب الفاطمية. That poem, by the way, is one of the most powerful poems from any Sunni Imam ever written. Because what's he saying in that poem? We're living 150 years after Rasulullah has died. And now, even when we want to praise Ali ibn Abi Talib, you're calling us Sunnis Rafidis. I'm not understanding. Calling them one thing, but even the one who loves Fatima al-Zahra is a Rafidi. The one who loves Hassan and Hussein is a Rafidi. How could you go to that far when you claim that you are amongst those who loves Muhammad and Al Muhammad? And that's why for us, it's a huge title and it's a burden, mind you. It's a burden. Do you know why it's a burden? Because when you become a Rafidi and you reject those who oppressed Al Muhammad, you could end up losing friends. You could end up losing visas. You could end up losing business contacts. You can end up with people attacking you. If they attack you, for what reason do they attack you? If you're a true Rafidi. If they attack you, some might attack and say that let's not openly talk about our Rafd. If you can't do it in 2024, when are you going to do it? If this was 1970, 1980, I'd say that the world is a place where they'll finish you. Today, the world, everybody can express their opinions. You live in society in Britain. If someone can express their opinion, you express yours, but not to do it insulting anyone. We don't need to insult any personality. If I talk about the caliphs, I can talk about what my opinion is, why I reject them, but language which is vulgar is not needed. That's not needed. Otherwise, we examine. I reject so-and-so, and I bring up my children so-and-so. Number two, you cannot be a Rafidi because you do tabarra, while at home your akhlaq is the worst akhlaq. This is a vital point. There are many who walk around, I'm a Rafidi, I am a Rafidi. Rafidi, but his mother is angry with him. Rafidi, but he is someone who hurts his family, who's a nuisance in the community, who slanders everyone's reputation. Don't call yourself a Rafidi. Ammar said, I don't deserve that title. That title is for those who are ready to lose their lives. And that's why sometimes people even ask me that when you discuss such things, aren't you worried about your life? I say, then what is the story of those magicians with Musa? What's the story of those who gave their lives away next to Amir al-Mu'mineen, Jamal and Safin? Those were the ultimate Rafidis. Yes, you know, Imam al-Hussein, his army were rejectors. They were all rejectors. They were open in Tabarra and Tawalla. They rejected the authority of Saqifa. And they were originally soldiers of his father. And soldiers of his father who fought at Jamal and As-Saffin. You know, when you hear these names, Habib ibn Madahir, Muslim bin Aqil, Anas ibn al-Harith, these were all rejectors, Rawafid, alongside Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. At Jamal, they didn't just reject the camel rider. They rejected her dad more than they rejected her. They were people who were open in their dissociation. But the reality is that at the time just before Karbala, there were Shia of different types who were around. There were those Shia who would say that we are loyal to Imam al-Hussein, but we don't reject anyone else. We prefer to be on everybody's side. Then there were those who were loyal to Imam al-Hussein, who dissociate from the opposition. Where could you see this clearly? Kufa. Kufa, people say, lots of Shia were in Kufa. Shia had a great number in Kufa, but they were a minority. Did you understand that point? There was a great number of Shia in Kufa, but they were a minority in the general population. The general population of Kufa was not Shia, but the Shia had a healthy community. For example, I say, there is a large community of the Khawaja community here in Peterborough, but that doesn't mean the whole of Peterborough is Khawaja. But the community is a large one. Likewise in Kufa. And from the Shia in Kufa at that time, there were Shia who believed Imam al-Hussein was chosen by Allah. And there were Shia who said Imam al-Hussein is our leader, but he's not chosen by Allah. And that's what Muslim bin Aqil had to face when he reached there. Muslim bin Aqil, when he reached Kufa, what did he see? He saw that there were different elements of people. They were generally united on one thing, and that is Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. We want him to come here, and we don't want Yazid. We want to reject Yazid. Why? Because Imam al-Hussein said no to Yazid, rejected Yazid's authority. We want to do the same. But some of them were ready to lose their life doing it. And others maybe were not so ready. Because there's some Shia who talk the talk, but when it gets tough, he says, no, don't talk too much about these things. I get a bit rattled. Then there are those who are like, life is too short. As Imam al-Hussein once said, he said, if bodies are meant to die and decay, then let my body be cut into 1,000 pieces. At the end, what is your principle that you stood for? What's your legacy that you stood for? That's what you will be remembered for. The Kufans, Muslim bin Aqil reaches there. There are a mishmash of different groups. Wallahi, there were some, they lost their limbs for Muslim bin Aqil. There were some Shia in Kufa, beheaded, tortured, executed by Ibn Ziyad, la'natullah alayh. Ibn Ziyad made sure that that was a hub of the Shia. You need to get rid of the good ones. And they will still speak while they are being killed. Who did he put in prison? Mukhtar al-Thaqafi, Maytham al-Tammar. Get rid of those guys. They're in prison. Who did he execute? There was some he needed to execute, especially Hani bin Urwa. He got rid of Hani bin Urwa. He got rid of the tribal leaders of the Shia. Bloodbath in Kufa. Shia heads everywhere. All he needed now was the Gharib of Kufa, Muslim bin Aqil. Muslim that night, on a night like the nights that we remember him, that night, imagine you lead the prayer in Masjid al-Kufa, but when the going gets tough, the Rafidha are few. At the beginning, 100 people in Jama'ah. As he's leaving, 30. As he gets to the door, not one person was alongside him. And you imagine that he has to wander the streets of Kufa. wander that street of Kufa, wondering for himself? No, Muslim is too high to think about himself. Never ever imagine Muslim bin Aqil once thought about himself. Muslim bin Aqil's life was Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Muslim bin Aqil's whole dedication was Imam al-Hussein, because a Shi'i, Rafidi, is someone who has 100% loyalty to the Imam of their time. Muslim bin Aqil wandering the streets, and he's thinking, Abu Abdullah is heading towards this place. And clearly, their hearts may have been with him, but their swords are against him. He sits near a house while he's wandering, and he knows there are people on behalf of Ibn Ziyad who are searching the streets of Kufa. Take your hearts on a night like this to Kufa. Those of you who've been to the Dharih of Muslim bin Aqil, ask for your hajat on a night like this. That night, Muslims sat outside the house. This young girl came out. She looked at him. She said, "Oh man, why are you here?" He said that I am someone who is just wandering around here. If you don't mind, just get me some water so I can drink. The narration mentions she went inside, and then when she came out, she noticed that Muslim was there, but her mum noticed her as well. Her mum was called Taw'a. The mother turned around to the daughter. She goes, "What's wrong?" Then she looked at Muslim, not knowing who Muslim is. So she said to him, "Oh man, why are you here? Why are you sitting over here?" And then she looked at her daughter and she said to her daughter, "What is it? Has he angered you with something?" Then the daughter said, "No, he hasn't." So she said, "Then why do you look sad? You must have said something." She said that he looked at me and said that he's a stranger in this town with no one to support him, no one to look after him. At that moment, Taw'a looked at him. She said to him, "May I know your name?" He said to her, "Yes." She said to him, "Tell me your name." He said, "I am Muslim, the son of Aqil." She said to him, "Are you Muslim, the son of Aqil, son of Abu Talib?" He said to her, "Yes, I am." She said to him at that moment, "Then your uncle is my master, Ali ibn Abi Talib." He said to her, "Yes, that's my uncle." She said to him, "Hurry up and come inside. They are looking for you with a ransom in which they want to take your body and they want to behead you." Muslim bin Aqil that night, he slept in his bed. In his dream, he saw the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. When he saw the family telling him, "Muslim, come back to us," he knew that that night would be his final night. When he woke up, the house was surrounded by the soldiers of Ibn Ziyad, all of them baying for the blood of Muslim bin Aqil. All of a sudden, he bid farewell to Taw'a and thanked her. And then, as one poet says, he said to her, "One day my daughter or my children may come past Kufa. Send my salams if you were ever to meet them." At that moment, when he came out to fight, they began to surround him, attacking him from every angle, but they could not get past him until one of them shouted out, "Do you think this is one of the greengrocers of Kufa? This is Muslim, the son of Aqil, the nephew of Ali ibn Abi Talib." At that moment, more and more men came until a man struck him from behind on his head. As he fell, another struck him with the bar. As he fell, another hit him. Then they dragged his body along the streets of Kufa. May Allah reward you over your tears for Muslim bin Aqil. These are his final moments. When he was carried to the top of the castle, Umar bin Sa'ad and Ubaidullah bin Ziyad were both there. They said to him, "Oh, is there any final wish that you have?" He said to them, "There is a debt that I need paid." Umar bin Sa'ad said, "We will not pay it." Ibn Ziyad said, "Be a man and look after his debt." Then he said, "Is there anything else?" He said, "Tell Abu Abdullah not to come towards this direction. Assalamu alayka ya Abu Abdullah." They brought his head to the top of the castle. My dear brothers, mu'mineen, may Allah give you sabr. They pushed his body over the castle and on the ground of Kufa. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam was coming towards Kufa, of course, on his journey. At that moment, someone came to him and said, Aba Abdullah. He said to him, yes. He said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Imam al-Hussein said, tell me. He said to him, Muslim has been killed in Kufa. Aba Abdullah done something which he would continue to do on the 10th of Muharram. Look for the orphans of his family. He walked towards Muslim's daughter. He came near her. He patted her on her head. She looked at him and she said, Uncle Aba Abdullah, have I become an orphan? He said to her, how do you know? She said, because you pat the head like that of an orphan. He said to her, may Allah give you patience. Your father has been killed. All of a sudden his daughter Sukaina came to her. She said to her, do not worry, I'll be here for you. I ask you all the question. On this night Sukaina was there for her. Who was there for Sukaina when the horse returned back without her father's body? With Sukaina calling out, oh horse, where's my father? Where did you take my father? I'll leave you with this line, which one of the poets talks about. When they came towards Kufa, the prisoners were all being captive in Kufa. All of a sudden, Taw'a came. She said, where is the daughter of Muslim bin Aqil? All of a sudden, the daughter said, I'm his daughter. Taw'a said, I want to tell you about your father. The poet completes it with this line. It's as if she looked at her and said, before you tell me, I want to ask you one thing. She said to her, go ahead. She said, when my father fell, did anyone hold his body? When my father fell, did anyone bury his body? Did you hear the breaking of bones when he fell? Tell me about my father. I beg you, tell me how he died. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. With these tears, raise your hands, ask for your hajat. All of us have hajat in this hall. Ya Allah, raise us with Muhammad and Al Muhammad. Ya Allah, allow us to have the honor of being known as Rafidha in the way that you'd want us to live. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the ziyarah of Muslim bin Aqil alayhi salam and his shafa'ah on the day of judgment. The originators of this majlis, bless them with the intercession of Muhammad and Al Muhammad. There are those who have asked me to recite the ayah of the Quran. Some of you have family members who are not feeling well, others going through trials and tribulations. Let's all recite in our loudest voices, raising our hands like we are on the plains of Arafah or like we are under the dome of Sayyid al-Shuhada in Karbala. How would you raise your hands if you were there? All of us together. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. All together. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه. Imam Ali says in Dua Kumail, إليك يا ربي نصبت وجهي وإليك يا ربي مددت يدي. Extend those arms. أما يجيب ما شاء الله ما شاء الله ما شاء الله. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه. MashaAllah, I'm proud of these young ones at the front. أما يجيب. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the Surah Al-Fatiha for your marhumin and our marhumin and all the marhumin of the listeners and those who instilled in us the love of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. But before it, the loudest of your salawat. Allahumma salli. صراط الذين مأتم الحسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين يا حسين